mmabunu sorry tiae na saa mmabunu no mu nkretan no mu nkretuo omo de omonsa na estopo saa ku no nti omo so omo dwumadie no eye dwumadie bi a yemfa eni agrokra enu nti eno so ya to ne din Cadence Day eye eda a yedi si ho a yedi kaakai saafo no a omutumi etina yese ekwan a Rawlings ede oman no ekọ no eye kwan pa a ensese obi ebetu egu na saa dwumadie no yebekọ akwakodi ewo Kumase on the 19th of May na eno so eye 19th of June na eno so aye nkaedum kese
convened to officially announce activities marking the NDC month of June in the year 2026. The National Democratic Congress last year declared the month of June for every year the NDC month, a period that is dedicated for reflection, for remembrance, for recommitment, for renewal of the ideals that give birth to our great party and continue to shape our collective political tradition. The observance of this year's NDC month begins today, the 15th of May 2026, a date of profound historical significance. May 15 represents an important precursor moment in the political evolution that birthed the Provisional National Defense Council in 1981, December 31st, and subsequently the National Democratic Congress on June 10, 1992. For many of us who obviously were either not born or were too young to remember all the details, on this day in 1979, a young flight lieutenant, Rawlings, led a group of young soldiers to bring about what he believed was going to be the beginning of a rebirth for our country, a country that he believed had sunk so much into darkness that there was a need for that darkness to come to an end and for a true light for our country to begin again. Even though that uprising that started on May 15 did not succeed, exactly 20 days after that, June 4 brought about the beginning of a movement that today has led to the NDC becoming not just a formidable political party, but a true party that holds the values that will help our country not just to attain a great reset, but to reach a place where we all desire to be, a place that we can say our country has truly become great and strong. Now, after the event of May 15, the most significant thing that happened, that captured not just the imagination of all the people of Ghana, but singled out Rawlings as the man that truly had a deep aspiration for the people of Ghana, was when before his accusers, when he was being court-martialed, he had the courage, the honor, the capacity, even when facing death, to tell all the people who were accusing him that he wanted to be personally responsible for everything that happened on May 15. So he declared words that will forever be unforgettable. Let my people go. I alone am responsible. And that capacity for sacrifice, that capacity for personal responsibility, that ability to be honest and courageous are the very values on which this great political party is founded. So as we mark this important day today, it's important for especially many of you who are listening to us who were much younger, who do not recall this event, to understand that the very foundation on which this great party was formed was a foundation of selflessness, of sacrifice, of courage, of honesty, and of responsibility. It is therefore fitting that we commence the national observance from today as we retrace the path of sacrifice, patriotism, personal responsibility, accountability, and social justice that has defined our political tradition. This year's theme, Strengthening State Institutions, Lessons from the June 4, 1979 Uprising, speaks directly to the current aspirations of our nation and the urgent task of national renewal. And this year's theme is simply to say that every institution of our country must have underpinning it these same values. The institutions are not meant to simply do things for themselves. The same way the individuals who occupy these institutions, whether it's the presidency or the ministerial level, or all other levels, we all must remember that the values that must define whatever we do to make this country great and strong should be the same values of sacrifice, of courage, of honesty, of personal responsibility, and the desire to put the country above ourselves. The June 4 uprising was not merely an event in history. It represented a demand for integrity in public office, a demand for accountability in governance, the need for discipline in leadership, social equity, responsible stewardship of state resources, and above all, remember that the country and the group would always be better, greater than ourselves. And therefore, we are now occupying those positions in order to build ourselves as individuals. And we are occupying those positions first and foremost to ensure that true power is constantly returned to the people, because to the people belongs the ultimate power. Indeed, the ongoing reset agenda being pursued by the government seeks to restore confidence in public institutions, rebuild national trusts, strengthen democratic governance, deepen transparency, and reposition the state's machinery to be able to serve the ordinary Ghanaian much better. The principles of probity, accountability, inclusiveness, selflessness, and people-centered governance, which form the very moral foundation of May 15, subsequently June 4, 31st December, and the NDC, are therefore inseparable from the broader national reset agenda that is currently underway. Now, as we say this, it's important to explain there's not just the general public we are making an appeal to. We actually are making an appeal to the broad membership of our own party. Sadly, many of whom do not even remember some of these ideals. Many of whom today think that this party is just now a vehicle that allows us to get power. And once we get power, we think about ourselves. When this vehicle has all along been a vehicle for the empowerment of the people, not a vehicle that becomes a cash cow for personalities, a vehicle that becomes a means where individuals think they can accumulate power and resources for themselves, but a vehicle that always would place first the party and also the country, always at the forefront for thinking of our individual selves. So especially for that young generation that have joined this party, for them to understand that May 15, June 4, 31st are not simply an event that we commemorate because we need to commemorate. They're the very spirit that defines what this party is about. And that spirit is actually how this country can be transformed. It doesn't mean those days were perfect days. It doesn't mean every single thing that happened during those periods were perfect. But they actually are the foundation that we constantly must return to in order to hold ourselves accountable. To always remember that ultimate power belongs to the people. And no matter what position we find ourselves, we must never lose sight of the fact that this great movement, should never be a movement for individual aggrandizement, accumulation of personal power, wanting to have everything so that we can control the party or control individuals. But always remember that we are stewards of power in order to be able to ensure the empowerment of the true people of the country. Now, as we commemorate this important period in our history, we also pay glowing tributes to the founder of the National Democratic Congress and the first president of the Fourth Republic under the 1992 Constitution, His Excellency President Jerry John Rawlings, or as we call him during the days of the revolution, the champion jockey. Champion jockey. His courage, patriotism, commitment to probity and accountability, to sacrifice, to patriotism, to selflessness are immense contributions to Ghana's democratic development. And these will remain deeply etched in the history of our dear nation. President Rawlings devoted his life to the empowerment of ordinary Ghanaians, the strengthening of democratic governance, and the pursuit of true social justice. Constantly, they will be observed at the NDC Day, with activities centered on revisiting the ideological foundations of our party, reinforcing participation in the whole democratic process, especially with a view to ensuring that our youth in particular understand who we are, where we are coming from, in order for them to be able to carry this great faith into the future. On June 19th, many of us will not remember, June 19 was the day when, should I call it, the biggest coup attempt was made to topple the PDC. And through the solidarity of not just of the armed forces that were loyal to the regime, but also the cadre core of the party, that attempt was forward. Now, so that day, the cadres, we'll call it the cadres day, will be commemorated in Kumasi under the theme, ensuring transparent governance, the role of cadres. This important gathering will provide an opportunity to reflect on the responsibility of cadres and activists. And as I mentioned earlier, I mean, in the past when there was no NDC, it used to be the case that you think cadres were just a small group of people. But really, in the broader principle of faith, every single member of the party is supposed to be a cadre. In fact, you have no business holding the NDC card unless you understand our values and unless you are a cadre. Today, we have many people who think that this party is just a means where they can get an opportunity, maybe to get an appointment, or to be able to get some contract, to be able to get some money. So the party is a convenient vehicle to them. And so people who even don't understand who we are, don't understand the values that we are supposed to embody, they don't know what the foundations are. Our members singing the great NDC, while thinking only about what it is they can get. Leadership means we must appreciate who we are, the wellspring where we are coming from, the foundations we stand for.
Almost so almost sorry, yeah. My money and I say, almost tenacity, ma abrantia or geomono, young kuno, and Nunti, almost sorry, at the Rawlings on the 4th of June. And also so a year a da, Yejina so ebi two abai eguye. Na NDC, ye nyama bebrea ye anase ye nyama yejina so no dodo na esi ewo month of June. Enunti NDC June no de ye friend no NDC month. Inti ene 15 May ye jina so na ye de abo etiefo nyina na se de to centrefo nyina enini se dwumedie a eda yenim in the month of June no ebe start anase ebe chance on the 4th na ye de June 4th no ebe ko banda a ewo bono region. Na ansa na June 4th ni po June 3rd eso so eye eda yede esiwa yede ye lectures na yede kire Ghana for nkanka ni mebunu a June 4th no 1979 omu ehu ekwan a eba so no ye de kaka ye ho enya ne hwe anase enya ne de a eba ye nanso bebi a na oman no ejina ne se na ye de beye nkaedum na yankọ saa da no de biara da na ye wie eno so a na the 10th of June eso so dwumadie no ye beye ewo enkran a enne ye begina afre no NDC headquarters nanso so bosumi a edi enim etwem a yemfre na NDC headquarters biodo headquarters no ye be frɛ no Rawlings house into June 10 no ye bedi ewa ha na ye wie June 10 so June 22nd eda so a ye founder Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings na woda eno so ewo June 22nd na yatena se aye ne se sa June 22nd no ye de ye kaedum a efie a ene ye de friend say centralfo inhyemu yi ebe ye bebedani edin no aye no Rawlings house inti se chine bi ye tonsa afremo ne ye ka se ye hyiemu ewo Rawlings house a